Life on the road can be exciting and frustrating. Our family of 4 lives in this Prevost motorhome so we can make memories now. We're going to show you what the last year looked like, where we went, the amazing adventures we went on, the breakdowns and repairs, and how we really feel about life on the road. We woke up January 1st in a VRBO in Savannah, Georgia. Our bus was being repainted and it took way longer than expected.
It was really cool because one of our friends opened up her home to us and we had nowhere to go. And it was actually ended up being amazing. We got to play pickleball a bunch on Tybee Island, made some new friends, see some cool sunsets over the harbor, and we actually got to go wander around Savannah, which we hadn't done ever, and it was super fun.
Yeah, we did a historical trolley ride and learned a lot about the city, so we kind of turned it into a little school lesson for the kids. But that time really became a time of retreat for us. We'd been out of the bus a really long time. It had been super hectic, and so spending 3 weeks in a house over the holidays was the perfect way to start the year and be ready for what was to come.
And we left there, and in the middle of the month, we went to Margaritaville. It's the first time that we'd been back in an RV park in over 6 months. We rented a camping cabin there, met some friends, and actually got to go to the Tampa RV show. It was amazing.
Real quickly, there's something we want you to know. Speaking of the Tampa RV show, we'd love to meet you
at the Florida RV Super Show.
We're hosting a meet and greet Saturday, January 18th at 1 p.m.
Make sure to come by and say hi.
We hadn't walked the streets of a campground in 6 months, and I'll never forget how that felt. And it was just a great teaser to picking up the bus a week or so later.
Yeah.
One of our dear friends gifted us a trip to the Dominican. After being out of the bus for so long in just the year that we had before this, she gave us 5 nights in the Dominican at an all-inclusive resort, which was amazing, except we didn't have passports. And so in order to pull this off, we had to go online and research how to get a passport quickly. And the only way for us to do it was to actually go to one of the national passport agencies. Fortunately, there was one in Miami, and we were able to get an appointment within a few days. So we drove from Orlando to Miami one day and got that taken care of. It was quite an experience. And if you ever find yourself in that situation, just reach out to us privately. But we woke up at 4 a.m. to drive down there to be on time for our appointment after getting caught in a bunch of traffic.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then we spent the entire day there waiting in line and letting the process play out. Fortunately, it worked out and we were able to make our trip.
So after we were done at Margaritaville, we made our way back to Kentucky to get our bus. And driving there, the excitement, and we were all so jazzed to get back to the bus. And it actually snowed on the way there, and we pulled into the shop, and we stayed the night in the shop in our bus, and
unpacking everything,
and It was just absolutely awesome.
I'll never forget when we pulled out the next morning. It had snowed, the sun was shining, and it was really the first time we got to see the paint job in all its glory, and it looked amazing. It was so worth all of the effort it took to be out of the bus and have it done. But man, I think we cried.
Yeah.
I think we literally cried having our home back and being able to be free again and travel and wander like we like to.
Yeah. Leaving Kentucky, we went back to Nashville, and we had some more work to be done on the bus, both at Prevost and Nashville Coach.
And I'll tell you, when you travel full-time, or even if you just own a camper of any size or shape, you're always going to have repair work. And we just kind of accumulate a punch list all the time. And then when we're close to Nashville, Tennessee, we call the guys and say, hey, can we come in for a day or two? Sometimes we need a week or two. But just know it's part of the process. And you're going to hear us talk about going back to Nashville for work to be done all throughout the year. And again, it's just part of the process. And for us, we take it in bite-sized pieces whenever we can.
That's right.
From there, we headed to Asheville, North Carolina, which is truly a home away from home. Jason's mom lives there and a bunch of his family. We have a good portion of our real estate team there, and there are 3 families that we met while traveling on the road that live there now. So it is a really special place for us to visit. We stayed in the Asheville KOA, which sadly will be the last time for a few years, because 7 months later, when the flooding happened there, that KOA got leveled.
Yeah.
So anyhow, we had so many nice memories there, and I'm sure when they rebuild it, it'll be awesome, and we'll go back and make more. But looking back, that was a very special trip, and we didn't even know it for that reason.
Yeah. So we left Asheville and made our way down to West Palm for the Prevost rally. And it was really neat to go back as a Prevost owner. 3 years ago, we were there just dreaming. And we were able to camp there at the event center. We made some amazing friends. We learned a lot about our bus, about Prevost, more now that we owned one. And then we're still dear friends with the people we've met there. We're actually going to see them again soon.
Since we were in South Florida, we decided to go to the Everglades National Park. We had never been there, even though Jason and I are both born and raised in Florida. This is right before Super Bowl Sunday in February. So we stayed inside the national park, which we don't do a lot because of the size of our bus, but we did, and it worked out great. We had no utilities, so it was true boondocking, and our dear friends Bob and Cindy joined us from Colorado. We did all of the things you should do inside Everglades National Park. We actually have a video about it, and we'll put that in the description so you can click on it. We had some close encounters with alligators.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
Closest ever, and I hope like ever, like closest ever as of that point, and closest ever like in my life. But we had a blast. We powered up the generator, watched the Super Bowl there, and just had a great time. Highly recommend the Everglades, no matter what size rig you have.
Let's not forget, we weren't sure if we were even going to fit when we got there.
Oh, right. We got there, and I paced off the parking spot, and it was at an angle and slanted at the front. And if you went from the longest side, front to back, we could fit. But on the shorter side where it was angled, we stuck out in the road. So I'm like, oh, Jason, you're gonna have to go back up and see what we can do. And the ladies at the office were so nice. What'd they tell you?
They're like, if you can fit it in there, just so long as you're not in the road. I'm like, okay, you said so. And boy, we fit it in there.
We parked perpendicular.
Perpendicular, yeah.
We just parked sideways in the grass and kind of had our own little private area for the long weekend.
It ended up being so much fun.
It was great. We headed back up to Orlando, and we stayed in the Thousand Trails there. We use our Thousand Trail membership when we just need to regroup, reset, or do some business in Central Florida, because that's where we're from originally.
While we were there, we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary, and we decided to go back to our hometown.
Right. We were only like an hour and a half from there, and we went down, stayed in a hotel a couple nights, and went to all of our favorite restaurants, sat on the beach, and really just had a peaceful couple of days. It was
we should do that again soon.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
It was definitely really nice.
And from there, middle of the month, we were able to sneak back over to Fort Myers Beach for about a week and see some of our friends at Gulf Waters RV Park, which we have lots and lots of friends there. And something so cool happened while we were there. Jason, at 16 years old, got to drive his first Lamborghini. Will you ever forget the look on that kid's face?
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was happening. I heard the car leave the park, but Mr. Dan was driving. And then I heard the car come back in, and Willis is driving. We call little Jason Willis, if you don't know that. But when he came through the gate, he was he could not smile, right? He was smiling. His face was stuck. His eyes were, I think he was kind of crying, but not crying. He was so happy. And that was a dream come true for him. So yeah, that was a highlight as good as anything that we did.
I may have had a little humidity behind my eyes as well. And from there, we got to do one more thing we've been wanting to do for years. We went to the Peace River and went fossil hunting. And we found this gentleman. I just found him online, and he took us to a private piece of property, and it was amazing. It was such a fun day.
It was fun. And Jason loves all the treasure hunting. We used to have metal detectors and go on the beach, and he studies some of the sunken ships and treasures from time to time. Oh, and one of your favorite shows is The Curse of Oak Island.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was really fun for them. I get a little apprehensive when I can't see my feet in the water and I'm digging around in there of what might come out and get me, but nothing did, and we did. We had an awesome day. That was fun. So now we're at the end of March, and it's time to head north again. And as we're about to leave the state of Florida, one of our belts breaks on in the back on the engine.
We were on I-75 heading north, and we were coming up on a rest area, and I was like, maybe I need to stop, maybe I don't. Linda was on the phone, just a normal travel day, and right about the time we're about half a mile out, the check engine light comes on, and almost immediately the bus shuts down. And we literally coasted into the rest area, into the only open parking spot there was.
Which was the very first parking spot. Thank you, God, looking over us for sure.
Yeah. And with no power, trying to steer this thing, and I manhandled it into the spot.
I think I looked up front, and you were like almost standing up, trying to turn the wheel.
It was everything you could do. And we got stopped, not knowing what happened. I jump out of the bus, I run to the back, I open the engine compartment, I'm like, oh, it's just a belt that blew. Well, that set off 24 hours of hunting for a belt. Now, here's the kicker. We were on our way to Nashville, Prevost, where I had planned to buy all new belts and backup belts. That was on me. If you're watching this and you have a motorhome, make sure you always travel with backup belts for every belt you would need in your bus, plus extra fuel filters and oil filters. You may never need them, but if you do, you'll be super thankful you have them.
It worked out for us. We were safe. We were in a rest area. We were able to spend the night. We had plenty of food, all of those things. Prevost Pass was awesome. That's the customer support service that we have 24/7 available to us. And so they helped us source the part. You drove the next morning to get it. You know, all's well that ends well. But yeah, having those extra, and you're right, how ironic.
Yeah.
We were literally headed to Nashville and had a whole shopping list of what we were going to buy.
That's right.
We did get back on the road the next day, and we drove to Nashville. We got our parts and our pieces and parts, so that way we were all set moving forward. And we spent Easter weekend there. What was really cool about that is a family we'd met traveling was actually spending Easter weekend there because they had family in the area. And they invited us to join them for church, join them for Easter dinner. And you guys, you're never really alone. Even when you are in a parking lot or in a rest area by yourself and you think, oh my gosh, it's the four of us. What can, nobody's here. Who can help us? What can we do? We're off schedule, whatever. Or it's Easter weekend and here we are buying parts in Prevost. I'm telling you, you're never alone. We had one of the most amazing Easter weekends. We found a new church that we listen to almost every Sunday now. And we ended the month on a high note. April's my birthday month, and we had a lot of fun in April. We started out by going to Indiana for the Eclipse. In full transparency, we didn't know why you should be that excited about going to the Eclipse, but one of our friends assured us that it was worth everything to go out of our way, be in total darkness. So we believed them, and that's exactly what we did.
And you know what was so cool is 2 families we met traveling full-time actually came to Indiana, one of them in their RV and one of them stayed in a hotel really close by. And we got up early in the morning, everybody piled into the motorhome, and we took the motorhome to the Eclipse. We'd pre-planned a place to park at a church in southern Indiana and tailgate, although, tailgate meaning we cooked breakfast and hung out. It was one of the coolest experiences of our life. And we didn't really take it that serious, but I am so thankful we did that.
Yeah. Thank you, Star and Jessica.
And Jay and Jenny.
After that, we took the bus back to Nashville because there was a little more warranty work to be done. We actually split that whole punch list before the Eclipse and after the Eclipse. So that was on purpose. And then we spent a lot of the month back in Asheville. Nashville and Asheville are relatively close to each other. It's about, a 4 or 5 hour drive. And so that's easy for us based upon what we shared with you with family, friends, and work colleagues there. We hosted a real estate conference while we were in Asheville, and that was amazing.
I had so much fun doing that.
I did too. We did a lot of hiking while we were in Asheville. It was my birthday, like I said, and that's what I wanted to do. We did a trail that was new for us, and it has quickly become one of our favorites. At the end of the month, we caravanned over to the Virginia Creeper Trail. If you don't know, it used to be a railroad, right?
Yep.
And so it's this great trail through the woods, and it's virtually all downhill. So it doesn't matter what kind of bike you have. Even if you don't have a bike, you can rent one when you get there. And if you went really fast, you could do it in under an hour, but you want to take your time. It's beautiful. It's through the woods. Like I said, all downhill, but you can't argue with that. But the Virginia Creeper Trail is a must if you're in the area.
And we get to do that with friends
Right.
that we had met traveling.
And you can camp there. At the base is a little town, and there is a campground there. And one of these times, we're going to do that. And I'd probably go for 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah.
That way you have plenty of time to enjoy the bike ride, the town, and just the beauty of the mountains there.
That brings us into May. We went back to Nashville to get the coach, and then we started our trek across the country. And we were on our way to Utah.
Our trek of 1,200 miles.
Yeah, we were on our way to Utah to a YouTube conference. Little did we know, weather wreaked havoc on our trip. We had to bob and weave 2 different times to miss weather, which added a couple of days to our trip. And then when we went through Wyoming, they had the high wind advisories on Highway 80. And it said if you were under 50,000 pounds, that you weren't supposed to be on the road if you had a high-sided vehicle. Luckily, we're over 50,000 pounds. It blew our bus all over the road.
Well, those were some of the longest driving days I think you've ever done in almost 9 years.
Yeah. Do you remember the Walmart that we woke up in and it was snowing?
Yeah.
You guys didn't wake up. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get ahead of a snowstorm, and it already started snowing.
And when Jason said we changed the course of our trip a couple different times, I mean, literally, we were going to go east to west on a certain road. And then because of the storm, we went a little bit north to miss it. And then we went a little bit north to miss that. So we literally kept jumping from the complete itinerary we had set in stone.
The silver lining is we got to have dinner with some of our dear friends for Jason's birthday.
Yeah, and we got to stay there for a couple days. We actually parked the bus out in front of their house. They have a couple acres and a big cul-de-sac in front of their house. So we boondocked on their street, and it was cool because last year, Willis had a traditional family birthday, home-cooked meal, home-cooked cake with our friends, and we played games after dinner.
The 3rd week or so of May, the whole reason we were there was to go to Salt Lake to our YouTube conference. And we had such a great time. We got to hang out with so many cool people.
Yeah, these are the people we see on Zoom every week. And so to be in person with them for a couple days like that, that was awesome. And that conference really helped us a lot with the videos we make and the content we bring you. So, you know, it's an important part of what we do, but we get to do it with some amazing people.
That's right. And from there, we headed down to southern Utah and went to Zion. And it was our 2nd time at Zion. And I'm telling you, it was, I don't know, it was such an amazing experience compared to the first time. And we didn't have a bad time the first time, but the second time,
the kids were older. We have e-bikes now, and we just got to do some different things in different ways. And we do have a video of all the national parks, and we'll put the link to that one in the description too, because we went from Zion to Bryce to Capitol Reef. We stayed in a missile plant one night.
Yeah, an abandoned missile plant.
Jason's like,
one of the coolest places ever.
He says, I have a surprise for where we're spending the night. I never expected that. So you got us all on that. And then we went to Moab and did canyon lands and arches. So check out that video if you're interested in any of those. Willis did a really great job putting that together for us. As we entered the month of June, we stayed in Utah. We love Utah. It has become one of our favorite of all the states we visited in all these years. And we started on June 1st with your birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, and we were in Heber City at Mountain Valley RV, which is a great campground. If you haven't been there, it's a resort. It's a very nice one. It's a little more expensive, but we love it. And one of your very best friends flew out. And
to help us fix the bus.
More things, yeah. Yeah, he's a general contractor, so we had him come out to help us make a few repairs, but then we had steak dinner, we did pizzas in the Kaveri,
A little hike.
hiking, we took the bikes for a ride on the trails. Park City and that area is just wonderful to visit.
Yeah.
And the weather was beautiful. It was cool and crisp. We actually tried to do a hike and there was snow on the trail, and we had to abort mission and go find a different one.
Right.
But anyhow, we stayed in Utah. Sarah loves to wear chacos. There was a chaco bus. I don't know, it's a thing. And so we went and chased that down one day, and she got her chacos restrung and all kinds of cool stuff.
And we got to take Willis to his first car show.
Yeah.
And he got to go to the Lamborghini dealership again. I don't know if you picked up on it. Jason really likes exotic cars as a young man, so we try to get him in front of those as much as we can.
Yeah, and we really enjoyed the car show. And since then, we've been to a few more. It's kind of become a thing for our family. But the very best thing in June was at the end, where we went to Flaming Gorge Reservoir with our friends Bob and Cindy that you hear us talk about a lot. They've been taking their girls there for
20 years?
I think 12 to 15, but a really long time. We've heard so much about it because being from Florida, we're boaters.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a boat before we started traveling full time with the RV. And so we have been desperately wanting to go there. So they met us there. They brought the boat. We brought a fridge full of food, and man, we had a great time. And it was boondocking, right? No utilities, but there was a bathhouse, and that allowed us to stay for a week, hardly making any dents in our tanks. I think we could have made it 2 weeks. The bathhouse made all the difference.
Yeah.
And then we had a water station set up to wash our hands. We were eating outside, doing dishes outside. So, but like what we really should tell you is Flaming Gorge is amazing. It is beautiful. And I mean, if you have a boat and you can get there, you should go. And there are a lot of campground options there.
Yeah, they're smaller campgrounds. We actually had to have a double site.
Right.
But the other thing that was really cool on the other side of Flaming Gorge is the Green River, which we knew nothing about fly fishing. And evidently it is world class. So our friends took us and we rented a raft ourselves and did a float trip one day.
That's right.
And then the 4 of us went back and did a hike. They had a hike the whole thing in this valley.
It goes right along. It's like a sidewalk on the edge of the street. The trail goes right along the river. And it was beautiful. Yeah. Definitely one of my top hikes anywhere. And we got caught in the rain.
Yeah. Storm.
Yes, a rainstorm. But if you can get to Flaming Gorge, you should go. And you will fit with your rig of any size.
So the first part of July took us to South Dakota. We were on our way to Sturgis for 4th of July for a rally, and some friends that we had met were kind enough to gift us their full hookup spot. Otherwise, we could have never gone and stayed for a week without hookups. But before we got there, we stayed at a real nice RV resort just outside of Spearfish, and we had a great time there, and we actually met another couple there that we've enjoyed, we've seen since, and that was really awesome. As we went to Sturgis, we stayed at a pretty cool park up on the hill. Sturgis is known for their motorcycle festival. We weren't there for that, thank heavens.
We were there like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand. They started setting up for it when we left.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, they could put those tents up in 10 seconds flat.
It was just incredible. We ended up staying in South Dakota for almost a whole month.
Right, and did not plan on that. We kind of fell in love with the area. We'd driven through Sturgis before just so we could check that off the, off the bucket list. After we finished the rally in Sturgis, we went back up to Spearfish and stayed a little bit longer. We played a lot of pickleball. Yeah. We were able to go stay in the Spearfish, is it City Park?
City Park, yeah.
Yeah, City Park, Municipal Park. That's a find. If you can go and stay at the Spearfish City Park, do that. There's a little fishery right across the street, and the pickleball courts and the park are not even a block. It's so easy. And the town is great. I don't know if it's redeveloped, but it's great. There's lots of restaurants, and in the summertime they had festivals every Friday night or on the weekends. Like, it was happening. We had no idea. So that was a really, really cool find, and we will be going back there again.
Absolutely. That takes us into the very, very end of July and the first part of August. We made our way out through Wyoming, through Cody, through Yellowstone, and I'd planned for us to boondock in the Tetons. And we had not boondocked a bunch in our motorhome. We've done a couple nights here and a couple nights there, but we ended up for almost a month in and around the Tetons. And I gotta say, that was the highlight of the year for me.
It was so relaxing. And after being out of the bus so much the year before for the new paint job, being able to go and boondock and be out in nature and just like really be free. It was so peaceful. It was so nice, but it was courtesy of Starlink, right?
Yeah,
we
totally
paid for Starlink last summer, and that's what allowed us to be out west like that in the national park boondocking, and we had no problem because we haven't really said it yet in this video, but we work full time, and our kids are 15 and 17, and they're schooling. So all of the things that we're talking about, we're doing at night and on the weekends. We're not going from place to place to place on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then on to the next and the next. We're having to work this out after we get done with our work, right? So having internet and connectivity is very important to us, and we didn't miss a beat all summer long. I loved hiking in the Tetons. We did make a boondocking video, and we had a little rodent encounter.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Whew, first one in our entire lives, but we did, and we put it on camera. So check it out. It is what it is, right? It's part of the process sometimes. But the Tetons were great. We did so many hikes. We did our longest hike we've ever done. It was over 11 miles.
Yeah.
And we swam in the ice cold lakes, and the kids mountain biked down the slopes at Jackson Hole. They actually did that for Sarah's birthday. We celebrated her birthday in the Tetons. It was magical. It just was. So you don't have to necessarily boondock for 30 days like we did, but give it a shot for a night or two. I think you'll fall in love with it.
Well, that brings us to August already.
Yeah.
And by the way, we are trying to get through this quickly. There's so much to say about all this. It's just been an amazing year.
Right.
And I will say, just as a pause, it's felt so good to be in our bus as a family. Mm-hmm. I loved 2024. It may be top 3 favorite years on the road so far. So as we moved into August, we needed a reset. After boondocking, our rig was filthy.
Yeah.
We weren't able to wash our rig anywhere out west for all sorts of reasons.
Or the truck.
And we'd been dusty, and we had ran out of food. We'd gone to Jackson, Wyoming to grocery shop, and it is crazy expensive. So we were like, okay, we need enough for dinner just for tonight. And so we
needed a Costco run.
Yeah. We made our way to Rexburg, Idaho. There was a brand new RV park there, and we were able to pull in there just for a few nights and wash the bus, clean the inside, wash the truck, go to Costco, go to Walmart. I mean, there's some crazy pictures of us with the stuff in the buggies, like they're mounded over. Mm-hmm. But it was a great reset, and we needed it.
We sure did. And so once we got everything back in order, we headed to Bozeman, Montana. We have friends there, and this trip was all about seeing our friends. Mm-hmm. That's it. We went for almost 10 days, and we stayed in the fairgrounds. It's really the only place to park in Bozeman. It's not glamorous. It was boondocking, but when we pulled in, I remember going like, wah, wah, because we had come from the Tetons boondocking, looking at the beautiful mountains. And now I'm in a paved fairgrounds, looking at the mountains, but a much different view, for the 360.
But at least it had full hookups.
It had full hookups, and we could walk to our friend's house, and we could walk downtown if we wanted. And it was amazing. We had such a good time. We drove, what's the mountain that we drove out to?
Big Sky.
Big Sky. Drove out to Big Sky twice, actually. Mm-hmm. You went one day without me. I just couldn't go. I had to stay behind and get my work done. But the next time we went out, and there was a restaurant there, we had fried chicken, and
it was so good.
It was great. We just had a great time exploring, finding some new local spots, and really spending time with our friends, and making some great new memories as a family. After that, we were all teed up to go to Casper, Wyoming. Mm-hmm. We had an opportunity to be the talent in a couple-day video production. The Board of Tourism for Wyoming wanted to create some YouTube videos about the small towns in Wyoming and encourage people to go there as destinations, not pass-throughs. We're guilty of that.
Oh, yeah.
We went to Casper, Wyoming, which we have passed through several times. I'm talking boondocking one night or going to the Walmart. That was it.
Yep.
And man, do we have a different perspective of Casper now. It was really awesome because we knew we were going to go and drive around the reservoir and do a hike and be out in nature, which are the things that we always do. But there was more. They were going to have us go jet skiing. We were going to do a historical wagon ride. We were going to go to the interpretive center, whatever that meant. We didn't know. But we were going to do some things that cost a little bit of money that we would not have put in one trip. For
Absolutely.
Sure. Maybe we would have done one of those, but we would have never done all of those in a short trip there. And especially because we're full-time traveling. If that had been maybe our one vacation of the year, maybe, but Sure. It's just not how we think. So going there in that way was really exciting. And let me tell you, we learned a lot about Casper, Wyoming. We learned a lot about the way we travel and about being open-minded to some different ways. And we actually got to hang out with a professional ad agency for those couple of days. As they were recording us, we actually got to learn from them and see if there were some things that we could do differently. So it was a win on so many levels. What was your favorite part of that experience?
The Oregon Trail. We actually got to ride in a wagon on the Oregon Trail, the actual Oregon Trail. It was so cool.
And our host for the ride, the driver, was fourth generation
Casper.
Yeah, westward expansion. Like his great-great-grandparents literally came out
He's
west.
3 grades. He's the 4th.
No, because it'd be his parents, his grandparents, his parents, his grandparents, his great-grandparents.
Yeah.
So
And it was the 4th generation.
yeah, so it was him, his parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. So yeah, great-grandparents.
Great.
No, stop it.
Great.
If he's
Wait,
he's the 4th.
generation.
If he's the 4th generation, his parents were the 3rd, his grandparents or 2nd, his grandparents were the 3rd, and his great-grandparents were the 4th.
So got you.
Put in the comments that I'm right. Shug's right. Anyhow, his great-grandparents came on the Oregon Trail in the wagon, and that's what he does now. Is he has like a real 1850s wagon. Like I thought it would be, you know, a comfortable wagon and a nice, like a Disney wagon ride. No, it was the real thing. And we made a video of them making a video of us. And I love the way it turned out because it will encourage you to check out these small towns. There are so many things tucked in those small towns.
And let's not forget, Sarah got to ride a horse, which she wanted to do all summer, and we just could not find the right place for her to do it. That was free to ride, not just a nose to tail, as they say. And the smile on her face, just like Jason driving the Lamborghini, her riding that horse, and she got to do whatever she wanted on that horse.
Yeah.
She had no idea it was happening. So
Well,
it was
we
a
didn't
surprise.
either, and we didn't either.
Well, we kind of did. I mean, right before. Like,
Well, right before, but the crew had asked some questions that we weren't catching on to, and so when we showed up, we saw the horse and they asked us if it was okay, but we didn't know until we got there. So that was really cool. All right, so after Casper, we headed back to Colorado.
Yep.
We had a couple days to kill, so we went back and saw our friends. But on the way, I had scheduled a photo shoot because I needed some new photos for my mortgage business. And we got a couple great shots of our family. We'll show those to you here. But we had a great Labor Day weekend with our friends, and then the kids and I headed off to another YouTube conference. You stayed behind with Norman, and that's how we started September.
When Linda and the kids got back, we spent one night in Boulder, and the next day we went right up to Estes Park. We have been all around Rocky Mountain National Park, and we actually made an effort to be there this year.
Right.
And it's when the elk were down. It was such a cool experience. It was amazing. We did some really cool hikes there. Great drives. I highly recommend Rocky Mountain National Park.
And the campground we stayed at was like not even a mile outside the entrance of the park.
Yeah.
It might be the closest we've ever stayed in a campground like that. That was one of the things I had asked that we do this year. If we went back to Colorado, that we checked off Rocky Mountain National Park. It was windy. It was really windy when we were there, but breathtaking, and you definitely got to add that to your list.
From there, we climbed I-70 up into Summit County and went to Breckenridge, which is one of our favorite places of all travels. We've actually spent 3 winters there skiing, and we have built a really nice community of friends and family there. And believe it or not, I think we've probably been there 4 or 5 times in our travels around in the summertime. And you know, the saying for Breckenridge is they came for the skiing and they stayed for the summer. And the summers are just magnificent.
And the very best part about going to Breckenridge in September are the aspens, the trees, the yellow, the golden yellow. And so we made sure to go on some hikes and some drives where we got to take all of that in. Well, October started with our trip back across country, west to east. We did the 1,200 miles again, but this time we really stopped and did something we've never done before. We have threatened every time we go east to west and west to east to stop and do something for a night or two, and for whatever reason, we hightail it across country. And so we stopped in St. Louis at the Arch. And it was fantastic, you guys. It really was. It exceeded all of our expectations. It was a little mysterious though, right? Because you walk in and there's kind of a museum, and that's great. And then you know that you want to go to the top of the arch, but we had no idea how we were going to get to the top. So it was all really well done while you're in line. Kind of felt a little bit like Disney. And when it got right down to it and we were stepping into this capsule, it kind of looked like an underwater, not submarine, but you know, like one of the little round things.
Capsule.
Yeah, a capsule. So Jason bowed out. He kind of looked in there and he's like, nope. But the 3 of us went, and it was awesome. And you only stay up top for like 10 or 15 minutes, which is plenty long. It is a small space up there too, but the view is amazing. And just thinking about those guys building that arch back in the day with no safety harnesses or ropes or anything, like, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So definitely do the arch and do something else too. And tell us what you like to do when you go east to west and west to east, because we really need to do a better job at that.
Yeah, that's right.
So then after that,
Hurricane Helene hit.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned earlier in the video, we have a ton of friends, family, and coworkers in the Asheville area. And we were just, we weren't sure what to do, but we knew we needed to do something. And so a little digging around, we realized that they needed connectivity. And we had the ability, we raised enough money, thanks to many of you, to buy 15 Starlinks. And we stopped at Best Buys all across from St. Louis all the way back to Tennessee.
Yeah, the minute we left the arch, that's what we did for the next 48 hours as we were.
Was hunt Starlinks.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to Best Buy. They were very helpful to us. Yep. Most of them, there was one that wasn't so much, but the other ones were. And we actually altered our plans. We stopped in Nashville overnight to get our bus serviced. I know it seems like a common theme, but we do go to Nashville a lot because we do have a lot of things. Well, it's just what it takes.
We have the bus service every 6 months regularly, like oil change kind of stuff. But, you know.
And that's what we were doing there this time. And we were able to secure some more Starlinks in Nashville. And then we went over to Pigeon Forge. And we decided to stay in Pigeon Forge because there was no damage there, and we knew the back roads to get over to Asheville. We went over to Asheville, delivered those Starlinks, and it was one of the most humbling things. I don't think I've ever been hugged as tight as I was when we saw those people. It was a very special time.
They hadn't seen anybody outside of their community. They were in such survival mode. So having somebody from the outside come in, and also they said, you know, we didn't have to explain ourselves to you. We knew we could just hug you, we could cry, we could pray, we could just be ourselves for an hour, and then that was it. We had to leave. We wanted to leave before it got dark. Yep. We were going through the mountains, through the
Smoky Mountain.
Thank you.
National
We were
Park.
Going through the Smokies, so we needed to be cognizant of that. And it was 3 hours for us back, you know, each way. But you know, we had no idea at the time when we were buying these Starlinks who we would help with them. We just knew we were going to buy as many as we could. And not only did we help people, but we helped communities, we helped counties. All 15 of those Starlinks went to groups, not individual people. They went to churches, they went to a neighborhood, they went to community centers. So like, we would never have had the opportunity to do that if we weren't traveling.
Yeah.
So
Guess what?
You'll never believe where we went.
You're not going to believe this. We went back to Nashville, dropped the bus off for 2 more weeks, had some more work done.
Well, we had our floors redone.
Yeah.
Right. So we had some bigger projects we wanted done this year, and we just, as you can tell, like, Breckenridge is kind of our like, hey, let's pass through Breckenridge when we're out west, and Nashville and Asheville are those places out east.
And one of the hurdles about being in an RV full time is sometimes you just need work done. And we could have had all this done at one time if we just dropped the bus off for a few months. We don't have that ability. So that's why it seems like it's a lot, but it's because it's little bits here and there. I can't say enough great about the people. They've stood behind their word and helped us a lot get stuff done. So don't hear that it's repair. Motorhomes need repair. There's no doubt about it. For us, there was some things going back to COVID that weren't done properly because of COVID and work. I mean,
it's kind of
it's
the
a long
shakeout.
story.
When you get a new bus, or we converted ours, so it was new to us, there are just some things that you have to shake out that you thought were a great idea and maybe weren't, or, you know, they just need to be fixed. And so that's all. Yeah, don't be discouraged by it, but we want to be honest with you about what we did all year. And we did every chance we got to go through Nashville, we did. And we made it easier on ourselves by going for a couple days or a week or two at a time.
Yeah.
But the really cool thing about this time is we did it on purpose because my mom lives just a few hours from there. She lives in southern Indiana. and we got to go stay at Mimi's for almost 2 weeks. And I'm telling you what, guys, we would not normally go stay in my mom's house for 2 weeks, right? We have a home. We're coming and going. We might go there for a few days or something, but that time is so precious, right? It was so precious. Sarah and my mom made a dress on the sewing machine. We baked and cooked together. They live in a kind of a historical town, and we can walk right into it. I don't know. The older you get, the more precious that time is with your parents. And I just can't say enough about how we turn the time that we're in the shop into opportunities to do things that we maybe wouldn't get to do otherwise. Oh, and do you remember we considered buying another RV while we were there?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. We made a video about that. There's all kinds of video links in the description, so you can have fun with us and see some of these things we've talked about. But we kind of got a little whim in us and checked something out. So I'm not going to spoil it. You go watch the video. Okay, so Jason, we got the bus back, right? The floors, all that was done. We got it back, and then we were supposed to take an airplane to Florida for a real estate conference, but we were supposed to go from Asheville to Florida. And because of all the flooding, our flights were canceled.
That's right.
So we drove. We just skipped the whole North Carolina part of heading south, and we came right here to where we are right now in Orlando, and then we drove the rest of the way in a car to Miami, stayed in a hotel, and went to our real estate conference, and that was great. We enjoyed it.
Yep.
Little South Beach action while we were there.
We had a little date time. The kids stayed behind at the motorhome.
Yep. So it worked out.
And then we got to go experience Disney Fort Wilderness at Halloween. We'd never done that. And we have heard forever, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. And it's just not really our thing. But we were fortunate enough to score a site about 10 days before Halloween.
You did that. You watched this. You watched their website.
I put a lot of effort into it.
You did, and I appreciate that.
And the kids had some friends there who they'd met at another campground, and they were going to be there, and their family, which are have become dear friends of ours. And we were able to roll in there on Halloween. There's a video about that. And if you haven't seen that video, that one is like...
You might want to start with that one.
Yeah, that one's real. And we went for the weekend, like a long weekend, and we just had such a great time. It was amazing.
It was. And because we'd never been there before, we really caught that element of surprise. Because as seasoned as we are in the RV world and traveling, we were not seasoned with a major holiday at Fort Wilderness. So
especially Halloween.
it's not what you think. You got to check it out. Now we get into November and we go back to Brevard County where we're from so Sarah could get her learner's permit. She has been waiting so patiently. Her birthday was in July, and it just didn't make sense for us to fly home from out west. It would have been little airport to little airport and a lot of money, and she was very patient with us. So it felt really good to check that for her. And now we have 2 kids behind the wheel, which is crazy. How did we get that old? I don't know. But anyhow, we did that, and then we started moving towards where we're going to spend the winter. But before we got to our final destination, we went back to Margaritaville for a long weekend.
We had some friends that invited us to go to Margaritaville for a long weekend, and they actually booked a buddy site. And a buddy site is where it's 2 sites together and you face each other. We had a tiki hut in the middle with a big granite island sink, and we cooked all of our meals out there. It's unusual because usually Linda's inside cooking, I'm outside cooking, and then we sit down and have dinner together. But it made for a really fun time. It was very social. Kids got to enjoy the pool and skateboards, and we just had a really nice time there. And then we were off to Fort Myers Beach around the middle of the month to settle in for the winter. Yeah.
We played a lot of pickleball. We went to another car show, and we had a fantastic Thanksgiving. We had so much food and proved that you can pump out a lot of food even while living in your RV. And that was a great way to wrap up November. In December, we hit the road again. Just when we thought we were going to settle for the winter, Jason's mom got an offer on her house. She had it up for sale, and we'd been using part of her basement as storage for all of our stuff for several years. So we had to head back to North Carolina to Grammy Pam's house and get our stuff. But it wasn't just get our stuff. We had to clean it and purge it and really make some good decisions as to what we wanted to keep, because we couldn't bring it all back. It was too much. So, you know, that whole issue of storage is probably a video in and of itself. But we've never paid for storage for our stuff. We sold it all when we hit the road. And then over time, we have some things at my mom's and some things at Jason's mom's. But overall, we have very minimal things that we left behind. So that was a trip though, because that was just like, that was like a catalyst for things that we needed to do. I kind of say we went and ran our errands. So you want to talk about that?
Well, if we were going, we went back to Brevard County to get some stuff done, take care of some stuff. Then we went to Hilton Head, spent a weekend there with some friends we'd met on the road. We hadn't seen them in a while, and I'm like, there's no way we can be going by Hilton Head and not stop and see Bob and Lauren.
Right.
And then we got to see our friend Jordan. She came over for dinner, and then we got to see Audra and Dwayne. So like in Hilton Head,
that we met in South Dakota.
So literally we had a bunch of friends just in a short weekend there.
Right.
And then we were off to Asheville, where we hosted a Christmas party for my EXP organization. It was amazingly super fun.
It was great. We had Christmas with the family.
Christmas with our family. We cleaned out the basement. It got super cold. We got to go to Sierra Nevada, which is your favorite place on the planet, and have dinner with friends.
Yeah, with our friends that we met on the road that live there now. So it was a great trip. Before we left Asheville, we made another great memory. Something that we do every year is buy a live Christmas tree. And if we're in Asheville, we go to the farmer's market, and that's it. That's where we get it. So we took the bus through the farmer's market, got our little Charlie Brown tree, and off we went. So that made us really, really happy. For all of that effort, we ended up with a live Christmas tree from the farmer's market. Total score for the Shinpaugh family. After that, we went through North Georgia on the way home. Jason had been invited to help host a real estate event there, so that was awesome. And we got to attend another Christmas party for our EXP real estate organization. This trip was so eventful, and I forgot, we got our teeth cleaned while we were in Asheville too. I'm telling you, it's like running errands, but we just kind of did a big loop through a few states. You know, it sounds silly, but that's what happens when you are traveling. You don't know where the road's gonna take you, but if it takes you there, you might as well maximize the trip.
That's right.
We got back to Florida, went back to our hometown, unpacked everything, so it's all in one place now. Then we got to go back to Fort Myers and officially settle in for the holidays. We spent Christmas and we woke up New Year's Day in Fort Myers Beach and enjoyed wearing our shorts, flip-flops, and feeling the warmth of the sun. That's what 1 year of full-time, nonstop travel looks like.
We'd love to hear what your highlight of 2024 was. Drop it in the comments below.
Go grab someone you love and make a memory now. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next adventure.